area was in the west. This was part of that first system that came through. Remember, we were talking about it being in the west, and now it is rotating around. You can see counterclockwise that flow that's coming in. Yesterday, cold, windy, rainy, and very stormy here for us. Showers and thunderstorms with this low pressure. That eventually moves east, but it's just going to be another not great day is the way to say it here into Florida. But you can see that counterclockwise spin with our low, everything kind of coming in, clearing the coast, getting a lot better as we head into the evening hours, and then much better as we get into our tomorrow, with the exception of the East Coast. Today, there's a possibility for some thunderstorms. We don't think they will be as intense as we saw yesterday. That was big time, but we still could see them spreading from Naples over Alligator Alley, West Palm, even up towards Juneau, Port St. Lucie, and down towards the Keys as well. And things are going to be improving, though, for us. Here's the rainfall totals. Again, not very heavy. They will be heavier in some of those thunderstorms. That's where you get those heavier rainfall rates for us. But we'll also be a little breezy here with an onshore wind as our low pushes east, but 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds. That's pretty gusty, even up to 40 at times, our winds. So it's going to be yet another breezy and chilly with the clouds and the rain and some of those cooler temperatures, especially in northern Florida. If you are brave enough to get in the water, not it. You will see the potential for some of those rip current risks, especially high there around the First Coast and into the Panhandle. Wave heights, you have energy in the atmosphere, and it all interacts up and down with what's going on. So the East Coast really going to be kicking tomorrow, but that will all improve as we head into our Wednesday. Jim, I know winter break is coming up for a lot of kids around the country.
And it looks like there's going to be
today in north central Florida, around Ocala, that area with the rain in the 60s. It was rough, but the story really has been the warm temperatures. We finally cool off in the west. We will see those cooler temperatures, but we still see that heat across the board for us here from the Midwest into the Northeast. Today, our temperatures range. We're in the 40s in Chicago. It is February. We should be at 40 below, not 40. This is just wild. Tomorrow, we're near 50. We're at 56 in Rapid City, 52 here into Minneapolis. Even Houston at 70 degrees, which is lovely for this time of year, but it is pretty intense. We're just going to crush records. If you look at our numbers, 1987, Rochester, Minnesota. 50 degrees is our forecast. Our record was 43. How about 1925? We could break a record from 1925. Fargo, it's going to be a little bit close to that one still. It'll be near record, if not record setting, in a lot of locations here, from the 80s and 90s all the way back down into the 50s, from Minnesota to Iowa, Wisconsin, on into Illinois, too. It is rough out there. So big ridge, high pressure allows that warmer to get north, sinking air underneath your ridge. We're going to see that Arctic air stay well away. By the way, the Arctic air is in Alaska. Their air temperature, what was it this weekend, like 51 below or something, the actual air temperature, not the wind chill. So all that cold air is banked way far north. We're talking 20 to 30 degrees above average for us. This whole system will continue eastbound. We do have some cooler air, but it's nothing that's going to knock your socks off here. The highs will continue to grab front lines through this week. We are going to be near 60 degrees in the Midwest in February. I just can't even get over it. Look at Waterloo. We could crush a record from 1999. All right, you can take our coverage on the go thanks to the north to South California is under the hammer of a fierce atmospheric river this morning. We are tracking it on America's Morning headquarters. Rivers and creeks are quickly filling to the brim as rainfall totals approach 10 inches in the mountains above Los Angeles. A mudslide in the Hollywood Hills knocks 2 houses off their foundations, while gusts north of San Francisco Bay scream past 100 miles an hour. Across the country, the Sunshine State of Florida is anything but heavy rain, severe thunderstorms working through the state yet again today. So, Jim, what's interesting is this in Florida was part of that first atmospheric river in the west and is now here, and now we're on the second one.
And how long did that take to get here?
Yeah.
Right? Forever.
Perhaps you're doing a little traveling today. The West Coast is where we're going to see the biggest issues, and I do think South Florida could run into some problems too. Atlanta, I think we'll be able to handle the rain that's coming in here. It's just a cloud cover. But look at this steady stream of moisture coming into Southern California. We've had evacuations. We've had debris flows. We've had rock slides. We've had mudslides. We have had it all, and it is still coming. The problem is this huge trough is really slow to move out. We have this at least through Tuesday. Then we get more energy coming in Wednesday into Thursday, and that's going to prompt more rain. It won't be as intense, which is good, but we do have a flash flood warning, and that does include Los Angeles, areas just north of Los Angeles. This whole vicinity, San Bernardino to Long Beach, where we'll go live to Justin Michaels here in about 20 minutes or so. We are under a high risk for excessive rainfall, which leads to flash flooding. So anticipate today to be really rough at the airports into Southern California. I think South Florida also could be a little problematic, Jim, with these storms that are crossing the state.
Step 1.
This morning headquarters, a dangerous situation unfolding in California that were occurring in Georgia and Florida yesterday. Jim, did you have something to say? I see you kind of looking at that.
No, I was just America's getting hammered.
Coast to coast, border to border, and it hasn't stopped there. We still have rain streaming into Florida. The Keys are about to get hit as well. Little rotation. I want to show you this right here. This is a water spout. Notice, I don't know if you can circle that or make it go a little slower. I don't know if people can catch that. You see where this red and the green is here? Well, you'll see that as a rotation in the atmosphere. There it is. You can see it coming in. That's a water spout. If that was over land, it would be a tornado. So there is your rotation. And we can see little spin-ups like this as these storms continue to come on in. Thanks for slowing that down for me, Megan. Here is our big low rotating around counterclockwise. This is what was along the west coast earlier with our first atmospheric river. This is the energy from it. Isn't that wild? You get this atmospheric river. Now, it comes east, and I was telling a friend, that low in Florida is the same one that was on the west coast. She goes, oh, man, are we going to see the same effects? No, these things morph as they cross the country, and we had all of that moisture coming off the Pacific, and we've got it in Florida, but it's not the same thing. Obviously, it caused severe weather. It'll finally pull away. Notice the storms stretching across Florida today, especially into central and down into South Florida. Yesterday was cloudy, cool, windy, and wet into central and North Florida. Things will improve, though, tomorrow. Still a few lingering showers here along the I-95 corridor. Possibility of some thunderstorms today into South Florida. And, Jim, within these, as we were just showing, you can get little spin-ups.
Yeah.
You can get heavy rain. You can get some wind damage. It's more limited than widespread, but it is still possible.
Well, I mean, there's a low itself that's
for this time of year. And we have the potential for record highs and lows from the four corners to the East Coast. The West actually cools off. We get cool air into the West. We did have warmth. That's now gone. Look at our temperatures today. It is just absolutely wild that it is now February and we are seeing the 50s into the plains. Where's all this cold air? Oh, it's up in Alaska, where our air temperature, 51 below. In Alaska. That's without the wind chill. That was just literally straight what the temperature was over the weekend. So here we go. We could break a record in Minneapolis tomorrow. That was set back in 1925. 87 was obviously a very warm year as well, as we could tie and break records from then. And if we look at Wednesday, we are going to crush some of our records. Usually you beat a record by, a degree or two, and some of them are going to be 3 or maybe even hotter than that. So Big Ridge allows all this warmth to build northbound. Air is getting suppressed under that. That's a warming process. 20 to 30 degrees above average for us. And then all of this is going to continue to hang around into late week, especially along the East Coast. So Thursday, more warmth, 20, 25 degrees above average. You're talking 60s into Chicago, Columbus, and record-breaking highs. Look at Waterloo, Iowa from 1999. We could break a record by 6 degrees. Are you kidding me? And that warmth is going to continue to spread all the way into our Friday. North to South California is under the hammer of a fierce atmospheric river this morning. We are tracking it on America's Morning headquarters. Rivers and creeks are quickly filling to the brim, and rainfall totals approach 10 inches in the mountains above Los Angeles. A mudslide in the Hollywood Hills knocked 2 houses off their foundations, while gusts north of San Francisco Bay screamed past 100 miles an hour. Of course, they were at elevation, so take that into consideration. Across the Sunshine State, energy from the first atmospheric river is giving us rain here into Florida, heavy at that, and we also have the threat for thunderstorms. You see lightning already working its way towards the coast here. Let's go start with these Florida storms, and we're going to get to the west momentarily. Jim.
Yeah, going through the Keys.
And we want to show you where there could be some travel issues today. I will say Southern California, I think, is definitely going to be slow, and down into South Florida could be one of those spots too. Right now, green means go across the board. No problems here. Rain, though, streaming into LA. We've seen water rescues. We've seen mudslides. We've seen rock slides. We've seen debris slides here of all sorts, and just straight flooding, road closures. It is an absolute mess. We have a flash flood warning that does include Los Angeles, and we have live shots that we are bringing you all morning long from this area. Look at the rain, just nonstop. It will be throughout the day. A high risk for excessive rainfall, which leads to flash flooding. And notice the 5, the 105, the 15, 10, a lot of major highways impacted by this. So I do think, especially into Southern California, you are going to see some delays there, or at least slowdowns. We also have storms. Some of these have had even a little spin to them coming off the water for us. Watch for stronger thunderstorms here down into South Florida. And speaking of Florida, we can show you a shelfie. There we have winds coming out of it like this and winds going in like that, and you're going to get that little appendage or little area hanging down. Showers and thunderstorms, there they are. Key West, the camera is obviously looking out at these storms, a lot of lightning coming in, and they will go all the way up the Keys for us as we head through the day. And really central to South Florida is where we'll see the worst of the weather. Very heavy downpours coming on in for us here over and over and over again. Jim, this is not our rainy season, by the way.
No, but we're going to get some rain.
Sunshine, though. We've been without it for a minute, right?
You're right.
Ahead of America's Morning headquarters, a dangerous situation. Also into northern Florida yesterday, 2 reported tornadoes. And look at Key West getting in on the rain. That'll go all the way up US 1. Make its way into South Florida, and this will continue as we go through the day. This is just the radar right now for us, and we have seen a little spin on the radar that's dissipating now, but we did have a little bit of spin for us a little bit earlier, meaning there was a water spout. If that goes on shore, it's a tornado. It's the same thing, just a different name over land, over water. This was actually originated in the west with our first atmospheric river. This is the same system that yesterday brought us all that weather. It is still here rotating around counterclockwise. Obviously, the longer they kind of sit around, they aren't as strong, but there's still plenty of oomph with this thing coming through into Florida. Low pressure will spend the day crossing the state, and then tomorrow morning we'll still have, by the way, some onshore breezy winds here on the east coast of Florida. So it could be kind of rough there on the east coast. But through the day today, on and off showers, the whole system spinning counterclockwise. Within that, you do have maybe a little spin in some of these thunderstorms. Mainly, we'll see some damaging winds, some lightning, some bigger boomers, and you can't rule out a little spin. Look at this tomorrow, still that onshore push right here into the Palm Beaches. But South Florida, it's storms for you, lightning, thunder today. Watch as everything glides across Alligator Alley from Naples over to Palm Beach, down towards Boca, northbound, as well as you go up to, say, Stewart in those areas. Palm Beach Gardens will get in on it as well. So how much rain? Not loads unless you're in one of those thunderstorms. That's when they can really crank out the downpours. So I think localized, you could run into some problems here. And then the wind will be an issue, too. Look at our winds here. 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds. This could make for a bumpy air travel. This could slow the airports. And just super breezy when you go out and your hair kind of blows in every possible direction type of a thing. That'll finally calm down Wednesday. But anyone who's from the north and braving these waters down here, Jim, they have to watch out for the rip current, because you know as well as I, Floridians don't get in the water this time of year.
No, and this can be a dangerous rip current
when you go through those hills. So I hope that people are able to get some help. Let's take a look ahead at our T-Mobile coast-to-coast forecast and give you a peek at temperatures in your area as you plan your travel for the week ahead. And I'll tell you what, it is going to be nice and warm across the country. This weather is from our first atmospheric river. Then we have our second atmospheric river that stays through the day tomorrow, and you see it's starting to pull east, but Wednesday into Thursday we get another piece of energy that comes into the coast. It's not as intense, but still gives us clouds, gives us showers. That's system number one. You see the second one coming in. The East Coast, finally some nice dry weather, but look at Chicago. We should be at 33. We're going to be at nearly 60 degrees for the next several days. Rain will be progressing east, and unfortunately for the weekend, gets back into the south. I know you guys are probably sick of it here. Showers on Sunday, but look at this. Loads of sunshine on the West Coast, finally. North to South California is under the hammer of a fierce atmospheric river this morning. We are tracking it on America's Morning headquarters. Rivers and creeks are quickly filling to the brim as rainfall totals approach 10 inches in the mountains above Los Angeles. A mudslide in the Hollywood Hills knocked 2 houses off their foundations, while gusts north of San Francisco Bay scream past 100 miles an hour. Don't forget, a lot of those really strong winds are up at a higher level, but still we have over 500,000 without power in the west, and this system originated in the west. This is from the first atmospheric river, now bringing stormy, rainy weather to the Sunshine State. We could see some stronger severe thunderstorms, especially into South Florida. So, Jim, let's start with this mess, and we'll get to the west in just a moment.
Yeah, pretty wild morning. Nobody.
They all say that.
I've never heard that once about the Atlantic.
They said the nastier it is, the better.
If you're doing any traveling today, we have got the potential for some delays, especially at LAX and also down into South Florida. Right now, green means go. These are our 2 systems. What's wild is this is from our first atmospheric river. Now it's east and it's rotating around, and then there's our second system coming in. By the way, we're going to be dealing with this. This is a long-lasting system, at least through tomorrow, and then Wednesday we get another, I say Wednesday and Thursday, we get another piece of energy that comes in. It's not as intense, but it still keeps us unsettled. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. If you're heading west this weekend, it will be sunny, which is great. We will see a lot of sunshine here in Los Angeles. Before we get to that, we have to deal with flash flooding. We have had multiple issues here. We are talking mudslides, rock slides, debris flows. We've seen water rescues. We've heard of homes that have been damaged. We've actually had one person die because a tree fell. So there is a lot of damage here. Los Angeles, Santa Monica, West Hollywood, all the way over into San Bernardino. We have a high risk for excessive rainfall, which leads to flooding. And we've had multiple roads that have been closed. You see boulders in the middle of roads here into Southern California. So if you're driving, that is going to cause a lot of issues. Up towards San Francisco, the winds will start to taper off, which will be nice as our system moves in. It's been very windy. And then maybe Orlando, I think South Florida has a better chance of seeing some bigger delays. Though central down to South Florida is where we will see the storms crossing over and through the state today. They've made their way through Key West, and they are marching their way up towards Duck Key, Isla Mirada, Homestead, Florida, of course, and into Miami, too. That's where we'll have the thunderstorms, and that's why I think Miami will have more delays, say, than Orlando. Because if you get one of those big thunderstorms over the airport or in the flight path, then obviously you run into some issues. Watch through the morning, showers on and off through the day today, and you will get lightning out of some of these. You'll get the cloud cover. You'll get the heavy rain. So, maybe some localized flooding if you're stuck in one of the heavier downpours. The good news is everything's rotating and moving. It's not just sitting in one area like that system in the west. And tomorrow you can see it is slowly starting to make its way eastbound. For more on that, let's go to Jim.
Just watching that.